Hey there, Minnesota! We're gonna go chase some fall colors, explore some stone ruins, and look for an animal that they describe as a cinder block with legs. I don't know what that's about, but I'm excited to find out. Join us with our guest artist, Heidi Bacon, and our guide today, Bruce Ause from the Red Wing Environmental Learning Center. Let's go, Minnesota!
Funding for this program is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
So we're starting here, and then I believe we're gonna hike around this loop. I'm not sure if we're doing that, but we're gonna go around here, and then we're gonna come back down across the creek and come up around this loop. And I believe the stone ruins that we're going to visit are kind of up on top of a hill over in this area. Yeah, so I don't know. 20 miles, 25 miles?
25?
Maybe like 3
Okay.
or 5, yeah. Hey guys.
Well, good morning.
How are you? Hey, I'm Brenda. Heidi. Hi, nice to meet you.
And I'm Bruce.
Bruce.
Nice to meet you.
Jim.
Jim.
Laurel.
And Laurel.
Nice
Hey,
to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. Yeah, I'm excited for today.
Yeah.
I hear we get to see some of your descendants' ruins of their old house. Is it a house or what exactly?
It was a house.
Farmstead, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a wall now.
Okay. But a very nice wall.
It is.
Yes.
Well built.
Well built. Can you climb it? Because I like rock climbing. So.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
okay. So, and are you with the Red Wing Environmental Learning Center?
I'm the director from 30 years ago, or actually 50 years ago. I started the Red Wing Environmental Learning Center in 1970.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I retired a number of years ago and have been enlisted to come along today.
Because you want to be here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And Heidi, why are you with us today?
I'm an artist and I do plein air painting as well as work in the studio and commission works, but I always get inspired by nature, so I'm excited for the hike.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about the plein air and what
Yeah.
that means. All right, cool. Well, I am not sure. There's several trailheads, so I don't know if you guys know which direction we're heading today. Do I have the map in my bag? Do any of you have a map with today, or is this is our only map? So if something happens to me, we're in big trouble. Which direction are we facing right now? Is this west or east?
This should be east.
It's east, north, west. So we're going to take the trail probably to the east first. And then we're going to come back here and cross over the little creek and head up here. And then is this where the ruins are, up in here?
Mm-hmm.
Like where can you point out kind of where they are in there?
Up this area, maybe that, the overlook, or there.
Okay. All right, cool. Is this pretty hilly back in there?
It's all uphill.
Quite steep.
Oh, excellent. Well, I take piggyback rides. So, you want to lead the way?
I'd be happy to lead the way.
Lead the way. Show us where to go. That would be great.
Oh, there she is, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Tell me a little bit about the Environmental Learning Center.
Well, it's basically hands-on.
Okay.
We adhere to a proverb, Chinese proverb. I hear and I forget.
So I hear and I forget.
I see and I remember.
I see and I remember.
I do and I understand.
I do and I understand. I love that. Tell me, what does that mean to you?
Well, it means that if you can experience something, you're going to remember it a lot longer than just hearing somebody talk about it. Everything that we do, for the most part, is experiential.
Okay. How so?
Getting the kids involved in learning skills, whether it be skills to make maple syrup or cross-country ski,
Okay.
rock climbing, cave exploring.
Cool. So what do you do these days now that you're not working at the Environmental Learning Center?
Well, I'm the interpretive naturalist at Frontenac State Park, and I've done that ever since I retired, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
I'm curious about your experience with your parents growing up.
Both parents became teachers. My dad was a principal
Oh, okay.
in grade school. And so every summer they had the summer off, and so they would get a national parks pass. And we'd spend the summers camping across the country.
I love that. So I had a note that your dad used to drop you into caves that he couldn't fit into. What in the heck is that all about?
Well,
I get claustrophobia, so even the thought of that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
also part of growing up is doing the things my dad did when he was younger.
Okay.
One of the things he had done in the 50s
Yeah.
was discover a cave at Whitewater State Park.
Oh,
and it had
okay.
Native American remains, and they were able to determine for the first time a certain group had been in that area.
So so then he put the rope on you so you guys could go explore.
Yeah, and I think because, first of all, we liked doing it and it was exciting.
Yeah.
But there was that fear factor.
Yes. So you guys are related to the people who built this house?
Yes.
Is that
4 or 5 generations ago?
okay?
For me, built it. The Cordes family.
Okay. What were their names? Do you remember?
No, but there's a sign at the top
Oh,
that'll tell you.
This was all prairie back in those days. There just weren't trees around here like there is today.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So what do you guys know about this place then? Like, is it just a house? Is it a farm? Is it an estate?
It was a farm.
Okay.
And I want to say 3 generations ago, they sold it. So it was
Okay.
a farm place for, what do you think, Dad, 2 or 3 generations?
So do you guys know any stories about the people who used to live there, or kind of any of the descendants between them and you and this property?
Well, my grandpa would have been born up here.
Okay.
Wasn't one of them that got stuck in the river? Is he the one that immigrated to the U.S. from Germany?
Yes.
And he was in St. Louis,
Okay.
going to St. Paul.
And his boat
Boat got
grounded.
stuck, so he stayed.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then he homesteaded down in Flower
That's
Valley.
what we like
Yeah.
to call destiny.
Yeah. This is where you're meant to be.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I take a picture of this tree?
Yeah.
I was like, squirrel.
Oh, yeah, please do.
I'm always like, squirrel. There's something there. I got to
What
stop and do it.
What are you seeing up there?
Well, I love trees, and when you find a tree that's had the space to grow the way it's supposed to, this one's branched out fully.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times they're crowded and they don't have their branches spreading out like this one, but this one's beautiful and it's got moss on it, and oh, I just love trees.
Oh, that's an oak tree.
Okay.
Probably a bur oak, I'm guessing.
Okay.
And we've been noticing on the way here, we probably won't see anymore, but a lot of evidence of Asian bittersweet.
Oh,
So if we see some, we'll point it out. In fact, there might be some right up here that would make a good,
are we supposed to?
What's Asian bittersweet?
it's an invasive species,
Okay.
and it's very lethal to trees.
Aw.
Are we supposed to like remove it if we see it?
Yeah,
Or report it?
if you have a half a day.
Ow, that was itchy.
Uh-oh.
Ah.
What is it?
I don't know what that was, but that thing hurt me.
Is it a nettle?
I don't know, but oh
bee
yeah, look at it.
stings?
It's turning red right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Ouch. And I just barely brushed up against that. So Bruce tells me that he found some medicinal relief for my itchy arm. So we're gonna go check that out. What is this?
It's jewelweed.
Jewelweed. Never heard of jewelweed.
It's kind of a succulent,
Okay.
and so if you take this and squeeze it, there's moisture in there,
Okay.
and you just rub that on your
Okay.
on your bite.
Here, will you rub it on there?
Sure.
It's hard. You can't. Oh, there you can see the bumps.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, a little bit.
Actually,
Yeah.
it's getting, in the summer there'd be much more liquid in
Okay.
here, sap.
Sure. It's kind of drying up because it's fall.
Yep, but that should alleviate some of the itching.
Yeah. I mean, it feels good right now.
You really want to look for the fact that it's a succulent plant.
Okay. What does that mean exactly?
Well, a lot of moisture in there,
Okay.
and it's translucent. If you hold it up to the sun, the light passes through it.
Through the
Lower down in the stem, you can.
There we go, like right here.
Yep.
Huh. Actually, if you guys look at this, the bumps have gone down. Yeah. Look at that.
Look at that.
The bumps have totally gone down.
There are a number of trails. I think there's 1,500 acres in the state forest land here.
Okay.
And this is one of the more popular forests in which they allow horseback riding.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I think
Yeah, I actually saw some horses in the parking lot when
Yeah.
we pulled in.
in many cases the trails are separate from hiking trails, but in some places, as you can see, the trail that we're on, they converge and you have both hiking and horseback riding. It's the Hay Creek Hardwood Forest, which is a part of the Richard Dorr Memorial
Okay.
State Forest.
That was the name I had heard somebody mention earlier.
Yeah.
Who was he?
Well, an early forester, and had a great pride in and recognition of the fact that we needed to better manage our forests
Okay.
back in the 1950s and 60s. And
I want to have a forest named after me. What do I have to do
Yeah.
to have a forest named after me? Do you know kind of what kind of forest area is this? Like, what are the main trees through here?
well, it's a combination of everything from, here you have a black cherry to elm to oak, maple, not so much maple right in here.
Okay. You see, we're steadily going up and up here.
Well,
Actually, it's not too bad, but I kind of all of a sudden realized I was starting to get out of breath.
I'm surprised I haven't fallen on my face yet.
My stepdad used to call me Grace, and
Yeah.
as a joke. Yeah.
It's just a weird thing that they would have built such a sturdy stone house on a hill like this.
Right.
Generally, it'd have been out of wood, and there'd be nothing left.
Sure. So, when was this house built?
1850s?
Yep.
Okay.
If the sign will say.
The sign.
The sign will tell us. And I'm pretty sure
We're
it's
gonna
the
find that sign.
1850s.
With that kind of as your upbringing and your parents, kind of having you out in national parks all the time and all the scouting and, putting you down into caves, and how has that made you who you are right now?
Well, I think it helps you to be fearless and explorative and creative. I mean, we're noticing things, you know,
Yeah.
and being aware.
Yeah.
I used to know this, how to identify trees by their leaves and their bark and,
Yeah.
different things that we would be taught as we hiked. And we hiked everywhere.
Yeah.
We camped in tents and open air and sometimes, very primitive conditions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was always an adventure.
there's an interesting plant here
Oh, yeah.
that's worth talking about. It's right here. It's called white snakeroot. And a lot of the wildflowers that you see in the forest bloom in the spring because they have to bloom before the canopy develops and robs the forest floor of any sunlight. This is one of the exceptions. This blooms mid-August, and it's kind of at the tail end of things, but what's interesting about white snakeroot is the fact that when this country was settled, particularly Iowa and Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, and people were moving across and setting up homesteads. Everything was cool, everything was working, And then about mid-August, people started getting sick. And they could not figure out why that was. Well, in time, they put the dots together and figured out that any particular dairy cow that would accidentally start grazing on this plant, it would taint the milk. And now it's commonly called milk sickness. If the cow ate enough of it, it could kill the cow.
What was the name of this plant again?
It's white snakeroot.
Okay.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that Abraham Lincoln's mother died when he was 11 years old because she consumed milk that was tainted from this plant.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So it's not, there's no problem with touching it, but consuming it, there is a poison.
Do not eat this plant.
There's a real sharp right-hand turn here and we go back because it's been a number of years since I've been out here. So
Oh, so are we lost right now? Is that what I'm hearing?
It would be pretty embarrassing to have you get lost out here.
Our artist today, Heidi Bacon, grew up in a household where both of her parents were scout leaders. She's been immersed in nature her entire life, which is partly why she is now a plein air painter. And what does that mean? Let's find out.
I like to paint out in nature, in the state parks especially. And it just is, makes me feel calm and step back for a moment from my busy life and just enjoy being in nature. When I'm in the middle of a painting, I'm excited about it. I know what the end result is going to be. I know the finish line in my head, or it's going to be that. No one else does. So I get excited. I like to show people, look what I'm doing. And they're like, oh, what is that? And I'm like, oh, good luck with that, you know, but I know where it's going. And as it continues on, the layers are added. The detail is the last thing. My passion for art has allowed me to look at everything differently. When I'm driving every day, I'm picking out the colors in the sky. It's not just blue, the clouds aren't white, the clouds are pale orange and then the lavender. The sky can be turquoise and it goes to whitish blue. And so if you break down everything you see, including people, animals, buildings, they're not, your brain tells you, oh, this is the basic color of something, but it's not. Everything's made up of all these different colors. Even in faces, you know, there's greens and purples and burgundies, you know, and so when you're painting, then you remember that. My favorite memory from our hike was when we were all hiking up this hill to an abandoned stone house and farmhouse that had been there 100, 150 years ago. It's falling down now and it's covered with ivy. It was a beautiful sight to come around that bend in the woods and see this building there. And it made me wonder what happened in that house and who were these people and what was it like living there? Was it just as, I'm sure it was just as beautiful and quiet as it was when we were there. Birds were chirping. We even had horses come by, horseback riders riding the trail while we were there. And my favorite part has got to be exploring that old house. I chose that old house for the subject of my painting because of the stories that were told from the descendants of the person who donated that land to create that park.
So is this considered part of the driftless region?
Good question. We are right,
I like it when I get good questions.
right on the edge of the driftless area, yes.
Okay.
Drift is material that's carried by the glaciers.
Okay.
And when the glaciers start to melt, that stuff falls out. And it could be the size of your fist, it could be the size of a Volkswagen car.
So do you know anything about like where they got the stone? Did they like carry it all up this hill?
Pretty much so.
Okay.
It's kind of a mystery why they would have built up here.
Maybe they wanted the view. Is there a good view?
Would have been in the day.
Back when there was no trees.
We are almost up the hill. Oh, hey, look at this. Ooh, a little bit of moisture. This is like booby trap #1 when you're trying to like get to the house. Oh yeah, I see part of it right here. So do you know what kind of some of these pieces are of the foundation?
That would be a cistern. It'd probably be on this map, Laurel.
Yeah, there's a sign and a map up here.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it does have a picture.
That is the picture from way back.
Wait, so this is the picture of the original?
Yeah.
And this would have been a map of the
Oh, let me see.
place about 5 years ago when they cleared it off.
So
They
can you
marked-
kind of point on here where things are?
Well, here's the house, right?
Okay. And
I'm guessing we're about standing right here somewhere.
we got barn, hay. Are we looking at it the wrong way? Let's see, we're looking at it.
I think that's would be,
Because this is the way we're kind of standing, right?
that's the way I would say,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. All right. So that means when we turn this way, we're going to walk up to it this direction. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
there it is. That's clearly the house. Yeah. Franz and Meta, how do you say the last name?
Cordis.
Cordis homestead. It almost looks like, in that picture, it almost looks like a town. You know what I mean? There's like so many buildings and a little gravel road going through the middle. It's kind of hard to tell. Neat.
I think what's neat, it was a 2-story home
Okay.
with a basement, and it's just,
So so really it had 3 levels,
right.
which that's probably pretty rare for that time period, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, how well that was built.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you can see like the wood.
And the huge windows.
Yeah. So were they a fairly wealthy family?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
They just came from the old country, so I don't know how they had a lot of money.
They were just a very innovative family.
Well, they all had skills. That's the thing.
Ah, there you are. There they are. There's a family portrait right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those really are huge windows. I mean,
No,
that's
they are.
amazing. Those are.
Well, one of their daughters died at 18, and she had dropsy, which would have been a heart issue.
Okay.
And I've heard my folks say that that's why they had big windows, so they had a lot of air.
Okay.
No idea if that's
Sure. Hard
family
to say.
lore.
It's really fun to kind of look in here and imagine them living here. There's probably lots of animals that live here now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we haven't seen one yet. And despite its fierce reputation, the American badger actually does not want to pick a fight with you. Let's learn more from Oxbow Park and Zollman Zoo's naturalist, Clarissa Shrooten.
The badgers that we see here in Minnesota are the American badger. They are known for having the big white stripe that goes back on their head. That is the best way to identify them. They also kind of look like a cinder block with legs based on their body shape. And they get that because of their behavior. One of the big things that an American badger does is spends a lot of time digging in the ground. Kind of like a swimmer where they get the big broad shoulders. Badgers have what we call delayed implantation. When they breed, those embryos then go into a diapause. So during embryonic diapause, the female can hold on to those slightly developed embryos for months. And then her body's going to assess the whole situation. She's going to see if the habitat's good, if they have everything they need. If it is the right situation, those embryos will continue to develop into full-on embryos and babies then that she'll have. I'm Clarissa Shrooten from Oxbow Park and Zollman Zoo, and I encourage everyone to get out and enjoy the outdoors.
We've had a great day on the trails, checking out the forest and exploring old stone houses. But you know what? We're getting kind of hungry, so we're going to go get some lunch. We'll see you next time on Let's Go Minnesota. I hear there's some badgers around here.
I'd be surprised if there are any badgers in here.
Okay.
Mainly because they survive by digging.
Oh, really?
And with all the roots in the forest, you aren't going to find many badgers.
No, it was a man with 3 daughters that built this thing, you know, and you just wonder. He spent a lot of time building the house, and he needed to farm besides. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that all worked.
I can't imagine. I got enough trouble just getting my lawn mowed.
Say, isn't that the truth? Well, they had sheep for that. They didn't. And you don't go to the hardware store to get some parts either.
No.
You just kind of have to
Wing it.
wing it, yeah.
Well, we can breathe a sigh of relief. I think the trail turns to the right here, so.
We're not going to get lost after all. Our guide found our way. Maybe, actually.
Maybe.
We're not sure. We'll see what happens right around this corner. And then the next corner. And then probably the next corner.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.